Welcome back to Ark Survival Ascended survivors. In today's video, we're going to be going over and discussing the best settings for performance on the Xbox version of Ark Survival Ascended. If you guys do not know, Ark Survival Ascended has officially launched on the Xbox console platform. However, though, it is only currently available for the Series S and the Series X. The game does not officially support the old consoles, so if you happen to have an older console, unfortunately, you will miss out on playing Ark Survival Ascended. And additionally, I'd like to remind you, if you haven't done so already and you enjoy my content, be sure to subscribe here on the YouTube channel for everything Ark Survival Ascended related and beyond. And I say beyond because I'm not looking to just only cover Ark Survival Ascended, but I am looking to dive deeper into the other survival games. If you guys are interested in supporting me here on this journey, be sure to hit that red subscribe button and notification bells turned on so you do not miss any future videos. Alrighty guys, officially diving back into the Xbox version of Ark Survival Ascended. This is currently being filmed on the Xbox Series S. I literally just bought this console just so I can review this video for you. I'm not even going to lie, but either way here, we're going to go ahead and head over to the settings tab. And then once we are officially in the settings tab, we're going to take a look at all the additional settings that we can adjust to hopefully better optimize the game for performance. Obviously, as you can tell, they have stripped out a ton of advanced settings that we could normally adjust on the PC version for the console version of the game. Again, I would assume that this is probably done for the certification process of the game, but overall it is a bummer. But either way, we're going to need to go through all the additional settings to make sure that you guys can run the game optimally. Alrighty, so starting us off, underneath the general tab, we're going to actually use the right trigger to bring us to the video options. Again, we're pretty limited here, but starting things off, we're going to turn almost everything off. I'm going to turn off motion blur, turn off film grain. We're going to leave color grading on because I have not seen a significant increase when it comes to performance on the color grading, and I do think that it does look a little bit better than turning, color grading off. We're going to turn off light bloom, even though this will significantly impact the quality of the lighting inside of the game. And then the same thing goes for the light shafts. Unfortunately here, guys, we're trying to adjust these settings for the Series S, and we really want the game to run optimally as best as it possibly can, not look as best as it can. But unfortunately, that's going to be it for the video tab here inside of the in-game settings. You could use this additional brightness and HDR to adjust it to whatever screen you're currently watching, but for today's video, I'm not going to do that. Utilizing the right trigger again, that does bring us to the UI settings. From here, a lot of this stuff is going to be personal preference. It's not really going to increase the overall performance of how the game plays, but more so on like how the game visually looks or how things, interact with and stuff inside of the game. So just go through here and adjust whatever you want. Nothing in here is really going to make a massive difference on your overall performance. The next tab we have underneath general is going to be camera settings, and I do want to actually make a couple of changes here. The very first one I would recommend is going to bring us to the camera shake scale. And for me personally, I always hate camera shake whatsoever. I never like it. So I will go ahead and turn off the camera shake scale options via here. And then last but not least, I would mention a couple of other ones, and that's going to be the player camera mode from mid to off, and then the dyno camera mode from loose to off. This is just going to kind of keep your camera firm, not really have a little bit of funky like bobbing and weaving and stuff going on. Just makes it a little bit easier. And that's going to be it for the general settings of inside of the game. We're going to go ahead and use the right bumper this time to bump us over from general now to the advanced tab. And there's going to be a couple of things I want to change and adjust in here. The very first one, obviously I would check your client network bandwidth. So for me, currently I'm running on a 1 GB of speed. I was able to run at epic 60 KB, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it at that. You might have to adjust that depending on how well or good your bandwidth is for your internet, but either way, we're going to go ahead and keep it on that. Vibration, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because once again, it might be a little bit more of a personal preference, but I never really care for the vibration aspect of the game. And then last but not least here, the third one from the bottom we have is the console access. We're going to go ahead and turn that on. By default, that will be turned off. And once you've officially done that, we're going to go down to the save settings, and then from here, we're going to go ahead and hit B to back out. Now, we can already see a dramatic increase in how the game looks. I mean, just by default here, I'm no longer getting like those super high beams from, looking at the sun, pretty much drowning everything out. So now the next thing we're going to actually adjust is going to be the console commands. So if we go ahead and hit pause pause again inside of the game, down in the bottom left, now that you have the console access turned on, you should see this button at the bottom. You hit the little 2 screens on your controller, and that will officially bring up your console command UI for you to type in specific commands. So the very first command that I recommend you enter is r.volumetric cloud space 0. This command will essentially remove the entire cloud background as you see here inside of the sky. This will dramatically not only increase your overall field of view and how well, in my opinion, it looks better without the clouds, but it also would dramatically increase your FPS and give you tons more frames with just purely that command alone. And now the second command that I recommend you guys enter is r.volumetric again, this time fog space 0. Again, this is going to be something you might not see right away depending on where you're currently standing at inside of the game, but just know that this will as well give you guys a lot more frames when it comes to performance by not having the fog animation displayed in the game. And now the next command I recommend is r.shadow_quality, all one word space 0. Now once you go ahead and enter this one in, obviously it's going to dramatically reduce the shadows, as you guys saw there on that rock in front of us, dramatically reduce the quality of the shadows inside of the game, but unfortunately that is going to be the sacrifice we have to make in order to gain the FPS performance. And so now last but not least, when it comes to the console commands that you can enable or disable, we're going to talk about one that dramatically, in my opinion, makes the game look absolutely like poo-poo, but it does allow for a lot higher FPS, and it does increase the overall performance of how well it runs on the Xbox console. So once again, hitting the pause menu, going over to the console command, and this command is officially going to be grass.enable space 0. So once we've officially typed this command in, you're going to see in a second here it start to remove a lot of the extra grass inside of the game. You can see it just puts this weird little green, painted texture on the bottom where grass obviously inevitably was. In my opinion, it obviously looks a lot more, sparse here, and when you run through the entire map, it just looks really, really goofy. You can see these little spots like this where of course, no grass is currently being shown, and then you can see all of some of the little patches that still do exist, and then obviously you have your harvesting, bushes and stuff that will still always be there. But in my opinion, I think this looks absolutely terrible. If you look at from a distance, you can even see it being affected on that hill over there, which if we would have left everything on, we probably wouldn't have been able to see that, too good from here. But either way, you can see that it's definitely improved the overall frames and the performance of how the game runs, and some people might actually find it, necessary, I guess, to play it looking like this, especially in high stress PvP situations. Maybe you don't turn this command on until you're about to go into like a high PvP battle, or maybe if you're playing PvE, for instance, you might find that this is purely not necessary. Either way, this is just another command that I wanted to show you guys that you can absolutely use to your advantage to increase your overall performance. And that's officially going to wrap up the video on the best settings that you guys can utilize to your advantage to increase your performance for Ark Survival Ascended on the Xbox console. Additionally, I would imagine these exact same settings are probably going to be navigated into the PlayStation version as soon as they do officially launch that. So if you happen to be watching this video and you are on a PlayStation, well then these settings would probably optimally work just as good on your platform and give you a boost in performance there. With that being said though, guys, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Ark Survival Ascended related. Also, don't forget I do have a Discord, and I actually do host a private PvE Nitrado community server for Ark Survival Ascended. If it's something that you guys are interested in, be sure to join my Discord. You will always find that link down below in the description. With that being said though, guys, as always, I'll see ya on the next one.